I'm happy. And I get to talk to Michael Hirsh. This, first of all, I gotta mention how big of a fan I was of Beetlejuice. Not just the movie, but the cartoon that you worked on.
Well, thank you. I was a big fan of Beetlejuice the movie and was thrilled to do the cartoon.
How did you even get involved in that? I have to ask, the geek in me just has to know, especially since I just talked to the people from ETV Toons and they're airing Beetlejuice now on the network. How did you even get involved in this?
So, Beetlejuice the series was a great opportunity, and so we pursued it. Once we knew that it was being made, and we did everything in our power to get in front of Tim Burton, and ended up in a meeting with Tim.
Okay.
And Tim was a fan of a movie that we had made at my company at the time, Nelvana. Nelvana was the company. Okay. And the movie was Rock and Rule, and Tim knew it because Tim was an animation student. He went to Cal Arts, he studied animation, and he got into making big movies through that. And he also knew our other work, and by that time we had also worked with George Lucas and we'd worked with Steven Spielberg. So we were really, a hot animation company, but even so we had to compete for it. And what we did was one of our top animators, Robin Budd, designed a look for Beetlejuice that you see in the show. Tim fell in love with the design look. Our writers, Ted Anasty and Patsy Cameron, came up with ideas for how to make the TV show evoke the series, evoke the movie, the original movie, and at the same time, plus it. And so she came up with the idea, or they came up with the idea of using the transformation where Beetlejuice constantly is transforming, and do that a lot. And that really worked, and again, clicked with Tim. So it was really the creative vision we had for his adaptation, and then the fact that the studio was, one of the top studios in the world.
Yeah, I love the fact how it really did sort of follow some of the scopes of the film when it did premiere. It didn't take too much away from the film either, but it was its own entity as well. That's what I love so much about it.
Well, the film was a springboard for the series because we had to do 65 stories. Right? Yeah. Or actually maybe 130 because they were 11-minute episodes.
I was going to say they were broken up into two different segments.
Yeah, so we had to go beyond the movie. One of the other things we did that Tim really appreciated was we were going to continue to do the mixed media. So we put in some early computer animation as the mixed media. So I think we got Tim as an artist, and we understood the movie and got it, and all of that translated to us getting the show and making a great series, and it won us our first Emmy.
That's incredible. And you, just learning the fact that you were involved in a lot of cartoons that I watched growing up, Little Bear being one of them, Arthur being the other one. I just can't believe how your repertoire is just absolutely extraordinary. And me sitting here going, I thought I was a geek knowing what was involved and who was involved in all this stuff, and then learning that you were involved in some of these great cartoons that I watched growing up it's absolutely amazing to me. So I want to personally thank you for bringing a lot of this into my life.
Well, it's given me pleasure, it's given you pleasure, and nothing is better than meeting a fan who grew up with one of these cartoons, and says how much they appreciate it. So I appreciate your appreciation.
How did you get involved in this area in the business? What was it that attracted you to it?
So what got me into being interested in first film was I was going to high school in the Bronx at the time, and a friend of mine said, let's cut classes and we'll go to Hunter College. They're showing experimental underground films. And I had never seen experimental underground films. I was a film buff, but was not familiar with the genre. And I agreed to, for the very first time in my life, cut classes. I was a nerdy kid. So we cut classes, we went to Hunter College, we saw these films, and I thought, I really like this, I could do this. Yeah. It made me believe that I could do it because these were, do-it-yourself kind of films, where somebody would shoot, edit, do everything. And so I started making films with my friends in high school, and started going down to the Filmmakers Co-op in the Bowery and a place called Eventorium in Spanish Harlem at the time, and started showing the films I made. Now, I was totally blind to the fact that while everybody was doing it kind of do-it-yourself style, they'd been doing it for maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, and they'd perfected their art. And I was just starting, but the people who were watching with me, the audience, were incredibly kind to like a 15-year-old kid, just doing their first films and showing them. So that made me fall in love with experimental films. While I was working at a slightly older age in college on a feature film that was experimental, a friend of mine who worked in the commercial center got a subcontract, or he got a contract from Jim Henson Productions for five commercials for the letters for Sesame Street. And he did plasticine animation, and he said to me, look, I'm busy, I can't do this, but if you can put together a crew, I'll train you on how to do plasticine animation. We'll deliver them, and everybody will be happy, and I'll pay you.
Right.
So what could be better than getting paid? Because at that point in experimental filmmaking, you were not getting paid. Mm-hmm. And what was better than working for Jim Henson? Nothing.
Of course.
So it was great.
Of course.
And so we did 5 letters, and then when we finished the project, I asked my friend if he wanted to continue, and we would continue to be his group, right? He said no, he had a job, and he really just wanted to focus on his job. And we started our own group called Laugh Arts. And while we were Laugh Arts, I came across Canada's comic books that had been published during the Second World War. And people were complaining about our name Laugh Arts because they were mispronouncing it Lafarts.
Oh, noted.
Giving it a French pronunciation, so to speak. And so we took the name of one of these comics from Canadian comics called Nelvana of the Northern Lights. And she was a heroine who fought, evil and helped the Inuit people, sort of maintain their lifestyle. So that was the background of Nelvana of the Northern Lights. But we became Nelvana, and the studio prospered and did a ton of shows, which you've seen.
Which I've seen. And we're here at San Diego Comic-Con because you have Animation Nation that you're signing at, I can't remember the booth number. That's one of the things that I need to learn. But you are here, you're doing an autograph signing of the books.
Yeah, so this is the book, Animation Nation. And I did the signing yesterday, and I spoke in a panel that was hosted by Marc Evanier, if you know Marc. And, the book tells the story of my building not only Nelvana, but eventually 2 other companies, Cookie Jar, which is where we did Caillou and Arthur and Johnny Test, and Doodlebox were the projects there that were quite well known. And then Wow Unlimited Media, which put together 2 studios, Frederator, best known for Adventure Time, and Fairly Odd Parents, and we did.
I love those too.
And we did Castlevania and Bee and Puppy Cat, which are both on Netflix and hit shows. And then Mainframe, which was another studio that we combined in, which does all the Barbies. It did reboot the first CGI show for TV, and we also did the Madagascar TV series and Unicorn Academy, which is quite successful right now.
You did touch on a little bit about what was in the book. How long was the process to get this book published?
Well, I worked on the book for probably about 5 years because it was on and off. And the biggest burst of writing was really during the pandemic, because that was a great time to focus on remembering the past and writing, because I had a lot more time than I
was going to say, I feel like during that period, I feel like a lot more creative thoughts and ideas probably came out there, because at that point, we really didn't have anything else to do. We were still stuck in our house.
Yeah. So I was stuck in my house, and I decided, like I did with the Canadian comics, I decided to, record the history. Because one of my concerns is that we don't preserve the history in the cultural arenas as well as we do in other areas of life.
Right. Oh, I agree.
And so, years ago I wrote a book about the Canadian comics called The Great Canadian Comics. Then we did a history of Nelvana on our 30th anniversary. And now I was able to tell the story of, how I got into the business and building my career, with really a lot of advice for, young people. So young people sort of watching this who are just starting, there's a lot to learn about how to do it from people like me who've done it. But I would say, if I were passing on one tip in this conversation, the main thing is you got to just do it. Like when I was 15 and making these, small films that I would show at the Filmmakers Co-op, I just did it. I had no judgment about whether it was good or bad. I just started doing it. And that's what you got to do, because there's nobody who can say what's good, what's bad, what's going to work. You only can, do things, promote them, do more, and eventually, if you work hard enough at it, you have a very good chance of succeeding and building a career.
Now, where can people find the book if we are able to let them know?
So you can find Animation Nation at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, and hopefully it's in bookstores that carry such books and that appeal to fans like you.
I appreciate this. Michael Hirsh, everybody. Thank you so much.
Neville, great to meet you and great to talk to you.